Hi Virgo, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your July 2021 full moon reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's let the bowl sing as we see what the tarot has to say. How will Virgo be affected by the July 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. How will Virgo be affected by the July 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. How will Virgo be affected by the July 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. There's something here about the moonstone being off that Spirit is saying, and I don't know exactly what it is, but we're going to discover it because I've just seen it within the stones on the cards. So, how will Virgo be affected by the July 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Ooh, okay. Oh, that's too many. Okay. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Fantastic. At the bottom is our rooted self. There we go. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have judgment and we have justice coming into play. Libra energy for justice, represented by justice in the major arcana, and judgment is about balance and understanding. It's interesting because they're both about balance and understanding, but this is okay. We'll get more into things in just a moment. We have the star card, which is Aquarius energy, super powerful for this time because the full moon on the 23rd of July is in Aquarius, and the full moon on the 22nd of August is also in Aquarius. I've checked this like a million times, so it's interesting. On the 23rd of July, the full moon, which is when the full moon is, the moon will be in Capricorn until 8:21. Okay, no, not 8:21. 8:12. There's my dyslexia coming through. 8:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be in Capricorn. Then we're going to change into Aquarius, and the full moon doesn't come into its full being until 10:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the full moon is in Aquarius, and the next full moon will also be in Aquarius. So Aquarius is an astoundingly powerful energy to have here, and it's going to be astoundingly powerful for you, Virgo. And then we have the Eight of Wands. In our heart, we have the Hermit, which represents you, Virgo. In the major arcana, we have the Queen of Wands, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We have the Lovers, and we have the Four of Wands. Now, this can be that, Virgo, you are in love with a fire sign energy, or somebody who has a lot of passion, or a Gemini energy. There is the sense also that the new moon is in Leo. That is going to be very powerful for you as well, moving you more and more towards what you love, what you desire, what you need, for this explosion, this eruption of passion to guide you. And it's kind of like you're falling in love with life again. You're marrying yourself to what's intrinsically and profoundly important to you. Now, in the public arena, we have the Ace of Wands, which is a gift we're absolutely taking, not quite as profoundly as if the Queen of Wands was in the public arena with us, but we have the Queen of Cups, which is water sign energy, Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer. We have this strong pull towards love and devotion, and what we need from the heart really coming forward here. And this is a time, because the full moon always says this to us, if we ignore our heart, if we ignore the emotional aspect of ourselves, we will ignore so many of the blessings of this full moon. Now, the full moon always calls us to surrender to the divine, because that is where our power will be. Now, why that's where our power will be is because the full moon is all about home and family and intimate relationships. And it's going to be now and the 2-week phase of the full moon that follows the full moon. Opposition is also going to play a huge opposites. There we go. Opposites are going to play a huge part during this full moon. Now, the full moon is in Aquarius, and it says, show the world the real you. But we have a hard time with that during this time because, again, opposites come into play. Work and home us, want and need us, spiritual us and public us. We need to see which part of ourselves we want to come forward, which part of ourselves we need to embrace during this time, and when we need to embrace them, and how we need to embrace these aspects of us. Emotions and instincts reach their peak during the full moon. So if we ignore our emotional self, if we ignore our instinctual self, we're going to ignore a lot of power that this moon brings us. We're also going to find out that we can really see clearly our relationships and the relationship dynamics. Things are going to become clear to us during the full moon that once were obscured. But also what's going to become clear is the negativity that is in the center of the disharmony. Okay, so what Spirit is saying is what's going to become clear is the disharmony, the negativity that is pulling our relationships off course. We can ignore it and blame it on the other person. That's fine if that's where we are spiritually at this time. But if we look at it and say, okay, this dynamic is treacherous and poisonous to me, why? And being able to release it is going to be an astounding thing to be able to do during this full moon. And that's going to be a gift that is part of your blessing during this time, Virgo. Now, the moon is Quincus Venus, which increases our need for love and affection. And we can see that at our heart. We want to be with our loved ones. We want to be always holding hands, always touching with intimate partners, yes, but also with just family and friends. We're going to find ourselves being very affectionate, very much wanting to be close to everybody. Those things are going to be very important to us. There's going to be this need for warmth and for love and for knowing that we are loved and cared for and cuddled. Just this sense of being wrapped in a warm hug. It's kind of going to be like being wrapped in a warm blanket. It's going to be exactly what we need. Now, because the moon is Quincus Venus, this also increases the tension between us and our loved ones. Why? Because we're hypersensitive during this time to any tension within relationships. We're hypersensitive to our emotional support, to feeling, like we're not getting the emotional support that we want, and also to the love that we need. So, and the imbalance within the love that we need and the emotional support that we need. So this is a time where things can get a little bit messy and things can get a little bit intense. And we have to be aware of that also, because love is at the utmost center of our hearts, that even the slightest rejection, even the slightest, like, I'm busy right now, hold on a minute, is going to feel absolutely wounding to us. We're going to be more sensitive than we feel comfortable with. And that can make us feel vulnerable. And that can make us be on the attack, because whenever a person, well, not whenever, but most of the times when a person feels vulnerable, when a person feels, put out in one way or another, their instinct is to attack, is to fortify the defenses and say, okay, I'm protecting myself. This is also going to be a time where we're very sensitive and we feel quite profoundly the imbalance to our own self-love, to our own desire and feelings, and the place and the way that we feel about us and what we want and what we need from life. Now, the sun is quincus Jupiter during this time, which creates tension around our personal success. Life can really boil down to, how successful am I? How successful do people see me? We're going to really be pushed hard and react hard to the tension in this area that Sun Quincus Jupiter really brings. And that can make us feel astoundingly lucky. But because this is for everybody is going to look astoundingly lucky to us. It's going to be a thing during this time. We're going to look at other people, say, wow, you're so lucky. Others are going to look at us and say, wow, you're so lucky. So there's this jealousy between everybody, this bit of tension between everybody that needs to be addressed, or at least needs to be acknowledged and then released. By putting so much pressure on ourselves and having our identity wrapped up in our achievements, this can really bring problems around greed and guilt and addiction. So this is something we really have to be mindful of. Now, Venus is opposite Jupiter during this time, so it's a great time for socializing and loving and relaxing. But again, we have the complications of the increased need from the moon Quincus Venus. But this also brings, with Venus and Jupiter opposite each other, this brings a tendency towards laziness and carelessness, which is also going to be detrimental to the Sun Quincus Jupiter, because we are going to be tied up in our achievements. And so if we aren't successful, what the heck are we? So we have to be mindful of that. This moves us to the 8th of August, which is the new moon in Leo. Now, with the new moon in Leo, this always brings, with the new moon, it always brings a new beginning, a new start, and it always brings a sense of walking from one world into another. And it can almost feel that way at times. There's almost going to be, what Spirit is showing me, an overlay of a dream world and our reality self, and the way that we move forward towards those dreams, towards that desire. And at times we can have daydreams that feel so real, or just moments where we're kind of pulled back in time, and it can feel like we're at an old kitchen table, or it's going to be like we're having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and there's going to be the sense of, we're having a cup of coffee, a cup of tea at somewhere else. So just be mindful of that. There is an importance to that, and that's why the moonstones were not aligning perfectly on the cards. There's the sense of the moon making us feel at times out of alignment. So that's something to be mindful of. That's what Spirit was saying. Now, with the new moon in Leo, confidence is key to success. And during this time, yes, confidence is going to be our key to success. But with the new moon is squared Uranus. So this brings sudden and unexpected change, which has our foundation feeling unstable, chaotic, and revelations just coming our way almost too quickly for us to digest. Yet we can't stop this change during this time. We're going to be feeling that we're going to be feeling this sense of anxiety and nervousness around this change that we know we cannot stop. And when this anxiety and this nervousness comes up, the way we're going to want to deal with it is by abruptness and impulsiveness. It's kind of like, well, if things are going to change, I'm just going to make everything chaotic anyway. I'm just going to stir everything up. This new moon amplifies our ego and our pride. So we have to be very mindful of the balance between confidence and the balance between ego-driven pride. a tricky line at times to really even be aware of. We're going to feel strongly that we have to follow our inner self. We have to be true to ourselves, but this can lead to willfulness and recklessness and arrogance. So we do have to be mindful of the conflict that the ego brings. Now, this also has us having an entirely impetuous and impulsive time, and we're going to want to be impulsive, yet that is the worst thing that we can be, because again, we feel this change coming, it's causing us anxiety, stress, and so we think, you know what, I'm just going to push through it, I'm just going to make things happen, I'm just going to be impulsive. This is a time that instead of embracing impulsivity, is that a word? It should be. Impulsiveness, we need to embrace flexibility, creativity, and mindfulness, intention, as we move forward, because the universe is going to be sending us messages of change. The universe is going to be leading us towards a place of exciting possibilities and opportunities if we have the open mind to embrace them. Now, let us see the energy we are to be mindful of during this time. What is the energy that Virgo needs to be mindful of during the July 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. And it's the Lord. Now, this makes sense for a fire sign energy coming in. We're very much drawn to fire sign energy during this time, and it's going to be a boon, but it's also going to be a hindrance. And again, we can see with the Eight of Wands why the change really pulls us forward is because we're drawn to this change during this time, and by the full moon. Our change starts with the full moon. Unlike for others, where it might start with the new moon, we're going to see ourselves changing from the very beginning. And with the Lord, we're going to be really drawn to people who are stable, all right? We're going to be drawn to people who burn brightly. They might not be the most stable of people, but they are highly ambitious, highly driven, highly focused. And we're going to think, that's it. It's kind of almost like we're going to be drawn to people like when you're a teenager. When you're a teenager and you think adults are, bossy and rude, or you think that, and so you pretend to be an adult, or you mimic being an adult by being bossy and rude, or you're drawn to the kind of bad boy image, bad girl image of this strong, powerful person who doesn't listen to any of the rules, and you think, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's the type of energy that we're going to be drawn to during this time, where it's kind of like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Or, oh my gosh, they're being so independent, so authentically themselves. No, this person is being reckless, and we need to be able to call out the recklessness for what it is. And we also need to be able to call out the allure of that recklessness within ourselves and say, okay, why is this so appealing to me? Why is it that I want to chase this? So do be mindful of that. Now let's see our chakra energy for this time. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. They're both the crown chakra. I love that. We have peace and spiritual awakening. Our spiritual awakening can give us peace, but our spiritual awakening can also bring us more anxiety and doubt and fear, because the world is opening to us spiritually in a way that we might not be ready for, in a way that might be quite overwhelming. But to focus on our peace, to focus on meditation, to focus on connecting our hearts with our minds is going to be so intrinsically important, not only during, during this time, but in our lives in general. Yeah, Virgo, because in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the Hermit holds the star in a cage. And that's the light that guides. And the star, this light of the moon, is going to be what guides us during this time in a very real way. It starts to illuminate things more deeply, more openly, more honestly than we might be ready to see them. And we need to embrace this understanding with authenticity of spirit and self, with a sense of, this is my empowerment. This is the way that I'm moving forward. Now, with judgment, I love this depiction because in ancient Egyptian tradition, Anubis judged the person's heart, the deceased's heart, against a feather. If your heart was lighter than a feather, you entered into paradise. And so here, we're going to be judging ourselves during this time. And we need to look at what brings me peace. And that's going to be the thing that needs to be kind of our cornerstone, needs to be our way of measurement. What brings me peace? What lightens my heart? What moves me forward? Why and how? That's going to be really important for us as we rise out of a box that we were put in, as we rise into the power and the intensity and inclination of the self. It brings us to judgment, to justice. It brings us to balance. It brings us to discernment. It brings us to saying, this is right for me and this isn't right for me. This is a harmonizing factor and this is not a harmonizing factor. I always was confused about justice, and yet this moon is bringing this card up time and time again for so many of the signs. And what it's saying here is, what's right for me is not right for you. And that's going to be part of this moon. What harmonizes me, what brings me peace, may not bring you peace at all. And we have to be aware of this and okay with this. One person's idea of a wonderful evening could be another person's idea of a nightmare, So here, we have to have this balance of comprehension, this balance of what does my soul want, crave, and desire? How do I open up the doors to where my heart longs to be? And so then the star comes in. The Aquarius moon comes forward for now and for in August and says, let me balance. Let me balance. And as I balance you, you need to shine. That's going to be part of the deal. As you're balanced, as harmony comes forward, as things are seen more clearly, you shine more brightly, more fervently within yourself. The star is the soul's wish. It's not the wish that we cross our fingers for. It's not the wish that we tell our friends. It's our deepest soul's wish, the one that we're hesitant ever to say out loud, because it's too personal. It's too powerful. It's too real. This is a time where that part of us is being called forward. That's why we show the world the real us. Not the one that we want to be. Not the ambition, not the conforming, not the anything other than the real us. And at this time of saying this is who I truly, instinctually, and powerfully am, we start to embrace our love, our hopes, and our desires. And the moon moves us forward in a way that we can't stop. The Eight of Wands is saying this cannot be stopped. Ready or not, here it comes. And it all comes from the heart. Because during this time for you, Virgo, it all comes from the heart. Nothing can be stopped. Everything comes from emotions. Everything comes from this intuitive, instinctual aspect of the self that needs to be heard, that needs to be moved forward. And it starts with the essence of you. So this moon brings you forward. It says, ready or not, here I come. For all the ugliness, for all the beauty, for everything in between, be ready, because it's coming. And as it comes, you will see things more clearly than ever before. As it comes, you will be led forward in a way that you could not imagine. As it comes, the essence of yourself comes forward, and it wraps around your heart, a beautiful dance of emotion and logic and brilliance and truth, a beautiful dance of who I was and who I am and who I will one day be, a mystery and a knowledge and a riddle, all coming forward, that illuminates the path, that guides us forward, that has us looking at things more openly and honestly than ever before. And yes, there are ragged clothes that the hermit is wearing, but he is wearing the royal color of purple. And so as we are illuminated, as we are transformed, we move so in royalty, we move so in majesty of self, and it brings us to the Queen of Wands. It brings us to passion and fire and instinct, new dawns and new days, not being afraid to roll up our sleeves, not being afraid to go after what sets our soul on fire. This is a time where the fire is important, the spark is important, the passion is important. And we might have found that the kind of passion went out of life for just a little bit. Things felt monotonous, things became overwhelming. We looked at our lives and said, how did I get here? And this is a time where we start to bring back the beauty, the passion, and the intricacy of ourselves, where we start to look at the dawns and the days and start to say, there's more here than meets the eye. I get to embrace this. I get to embrace me. I get to move forward in passion and in brilliance. And it moves us then to falling in love. It moves us then to the lovers. Something forbidden, something beautiful, something sacred, something that is powerful. and cannot be controlled. And it's almost going to be like what we have been fighting against, the way we have been fighting against being swept up by this moon, by the sacred passion of ourselves. All our defenses kind of fall away. And it's funny because it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it's powerful. And it's powerful because it's us. It's saying all the walls that we have built up, all the carefully crafted plans and ideas, this is a time where if we let it, if we embrace this moon openly and honestly, things are stripped bare. We are stripped bare. And we are powerfully laid forward to be blessed and to be in love and intertangled with our dreams and our desires, our hopes and our wishes. And it leads us to really being committed to what had seemed out of reach before, what had seemed out of sorts. We really start to say, but if I turn my back on this, I turn my back on everything that is me, and I cannot do it. This is the Minor Arcana Marriage card. We are married to our ideas. We are married to our dreams. And we're going to start to see that in maybe even a little bit of a scary way, an intense way, that says, I cannot walk away from this. I need to walk forward. I need to embrace who I am and who I will be and what I desire. I need to embrace love and connection. And as I do so, I embrace me more and more each day. But it's not a controlling love. It's a mutually beneficial, like give and take. And it doesn't have to be romantic love. Spirit wants to make that very clear, that it doesn't have to be a romantic love that has to be just like this. It's a beautiful spiritual coming together. It's this sense that it can be the love of friends. It could be the love of creativity, of inspiration. It could be the love of lovers. It could be the love of family, where we start to see ourselves growing more powerful and more powerful as we embrace it, as we walk true to the path that is who we are, that is who we are born to be, instead of the path that other people have wanted us to be. And the Ace of Wands is this passion and this creativity that comes forward in the public arena, with the Queen of Cups that says, follow your heart. Listen to your emotional self. This is a time where the passion shines brightly. And if we let the heart shine bright, if we let our emotions come through openly and honestly with ourselves, and this could even be just in journaling or, talking into a recorder, and being able to get down ideas, being able to look at things in a different way, being able to release so much that we have boxed in, all of a sudden, we start to see ourselves more clearly. All of a sudden, we start to create with ease and with passion. And this starts to open up our world really quite beautifully. In the public arena, the gift of the Sun, Quincus, Jupiter can be absolutely inspiring. Okay, that tension, that beautiful push and pull has us creating, has us kind of like under a lucky star, has us moving forward. But it can be all-consuming, so we have to be mindful of the guilt and the greed and the addictions that can come forward from the, well, I just have to push a little bit more, or I just have to keep going a little bit further. So it's beautiful, but there is a bit of treachery here, so do be mindful of it. So let's see how the moon impacts you, Virgo. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Fantastic. Time to give rather than take. New moon in Virgo. So the energy of you really comes forward astoundingly powerfully. Realization. It brings realization, as it's time to give rather than take. It's time to release negativity, surrender, Prosperity lies ahead. Self-reflection. Your commitment is being tested. Discernment. It's the justice coming through again. The discernment is going to be part of the public arena. So it's time to give rather than take. This is a time of giving of the creativity within the self. The realization that you yourself are the key, walking through the keyhole. You yourself are the inspiration, the passion, the power, the insight. It's time to give of the creative energy within you instead of taking the inspiration from others or thinking that others might have a clue or an answer. It's all going to come from within, which can make it astoundingly overwhelming. It's time to release negativity. Surrender. Surrender to the release of negativity, because you will be surrendering to an ocean of inspiration. Releasing the negativity, releasing the doubts and the hurts and the pains and everything that we've carried, just as human beings, everything that we kind of put onto ourselves and hold onto ourselves like snails. Okay, we have to release it. Or those barnacles that just kind of keep growing and growing and growing. Prosperity lies ahead. Self-realization. That if you embrace what you love, if you embrace yourself, if you let yourself become one with the wisdom, prosperity lies ahead. It's realizing this, and it's embracing this of the self. Your commitment is being tested. Discernment. What energy will you let in, and what energy will you release? What needs to be, and what is no longer relevant? Our subconscious lunar message is balance, and nothing will come of the situation. Nothing will come of the situation if we do not balance, if we do not find the harmony, if we do not call ourselves forward in blessing and in peace and in wisdom. Nothing will come of it. It will all fall apart. It'll be like a house of cards and a strong wind. The subconscious energy to be mindful of is the King of Swords, pulling everything down to logic and power. We're going to be very drawn to logic and power. But also, there's going to be a cruelty in people who speak too plainly. We need a bit of give and take during this time. It's going to be important. And that person who's a little bit cruel is going to be like, "Why, I'm just telling you the truth." It's like, okay, yes, that's fair. But the truth can be said in kinder ways. Our subconscious chakra message is communication. And this is the fact that we're going to be very sensitive to the world around us. We're going to be communicating on multifaceted different levels. And we might not like it. It might be very overwhelming to us. But we have to be respectful of the energy that's coming our way and the way that we are processing it. So when somebody's having a conversation with us, because we're communicating spiritually, instinctually, passionately with this person, we're going to be having sometimes a completely different conversation than what they're bringing to the table. So do be mindful of that. Our subconscious chakra energy, not chakra energy, rooted energy is the Tower. Divinity right now is calling upon a time of change, powerful and impactful change. We cannot stop it even if we want to. And that's part of the intensity of this time for us, especially around the new moon. We can't stop it. And it starts with the full moon. It starts with the realization, the actualization of the heart's passionate power of ourselves. And it starts to change everything. Our subconscious inner self is the King of Wands. Passion, power, intensity. Again, the sense of change and evolution. A fire for the reason why. But also, in between his cloak, as his cloak opens, it almost looks like a road. Like stone. And starting to see ourselves moving forward, the path being a part of us. Our subconscious emotional message is the King of Wands again. We have the Queen of Wands, we have the King of Wands, soulmate connection, true love connection. Love is so important, and passionately embracing that love. Not being overly demonstrative in our affections and PDA all the time. What it means is saying, this is my love, this is my passion, this is my soul, this is myself, This is me. I step into the flame of my creation. I step into the flame of my being, and I let it shine. Our subconscious public arena self is the moon. In the public arena, the moon has more power over us than we realize. It's calling us forward in a way that we cannot imagine. And as we embrace it, we embrace ourselves more deeply, more openly, more honestly than ever before. This moon shows us what has been hidden for too long. All right, Virgo. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power of this moon. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Virgo, and may you have a blessed moon.